Okay, so we take a look at this setup here on the left-hand side in our ground. Okay, the main issue we had, as we said, more so kind of in a sort of hand position, therefore shaft position, just leaning back a little bit too far back on your trail side. So what I mean, your left arm now is going to come across your body, going to make it very, very difficult for you to create a path that's going to be very much draw biased. The shoulders, for me, are almost too leveled off. It looks as though you're sort of making a low, pitchy, punchy shot with a little bit of left to right spin. Okay, so you're kind of setting up for a shot that you weren't really sort of happy to see, and then you couldn't obviously get the shape of shot that you wanted to see in terms of the draw. The other thing, as we said as well, when the handle does get back here too far, it often weakens the grip or cause your left wrist to get very cupped. Either way, you're going to return the golf club back to the ball in a slightly more open fashion. So for me, the main thing in terms of setting up, trying to go through a process now, as we said during the lesson, when you felt as though the club was forward, it felt like it was leaning over here somewhere. As you'll see with this sequence now, maybe start with the feet together, but just getting the club shaft leaning a little bit further forward. I'd like to see the left hand on the club here. Now, if you look at your left hand position, that's not really a natural hang for your left hand. I don't think we can go back any further to see. You can see how your left arm is hanging here now. There's this angle, the thumb is off the side. We want the grip to be in the middle of that. So your logo on the club now is quite visible. As your hand comes onto the grip, see how it sort of turns underneath there? You're putting your left hand now in that weaker position, which is going to cause that club face to come back, aiming more to the right. So I want to see that left thumb just get a little bit further over. Ideally, this wrist joint here would be on top of the grip there at the top. We shouldn't be able to see the grip at the top there during the setup. You sort of turn it around a little bit, but now you're kind of more sort of rolling the forearm and moving the hand over. So just try and get that grip in a better position, more in the fingers first. But as we said, getting the lead arm and the club shaft a bit more in line. You can still see here now, even though you put the handle forward, what feels massively forward, almost sort of cricket shot style, the hand of the club isn't really that far forward at all. Your shoulders now are creating a little bit more of the tilt we want to try and see. So your right side now is sort of underneath and a bit softer. That's going to make it a lot easier for you to produce a sort of draw, sort of bias path into that golf ball without the need for sort of manipulation. So you can see even there now, the hand's behind the golf ball. We've mentioned that there. So even from there now, pushing the hands forward, because it looks so far forward from your eyes here, it looks like your hands are that far forward of the golf ball, when in reality, they're only just about an inch maybe at most in front. As that little checkpoint, we can see as you look down, your hands now kind of go over that left foot. So that'll give you a reference point now, so when you're setting up, just to make sure you're in that right position time and time again. And then from there, really now, is kind of just creating that normal swing that you have, with this shoulder being a bit underneath and this right side being sort of back a bit more. It's going to make it a lot easier for you now to sort of take the golf club back more on that draw bias. And now we can start shifting the lower half towards target. And with the handle starting further forward, if your pelvis moves to the left now and the hands return back to the position they started to, you're going to start getting your hands working a little bit more in front of the golf ball, getting that better strike, not getting that slappy, toey, thinny kind of strike that you said you were getting. So I think mainly for me, it's more setup initially. Get used to that position that feels really awkward when you put your hands that far forward. I say reflection and mirror is going to be a great thing. By all means, send videos across to me so we can kind of see where you're at with your practice. But getting used to this position first and foremost is going to be key for me, and just hit shots. Until you start seeing really bit of a pulley hook, your hands aren't, I wouldn't say, too far forward and the grip isn't too strong. Okay, obviously when you do go ridiculously strong, your brain might override that and start trying to block it back to target, because you're obviously a decent player there. So, but I think if we can get the handle forward, get comfortable in this position. Obviously when you first went here, it did feel a bit strange, but the more you hit shots with that new setup, it will start to feel a bit more comfortable, and we can just get back to start hitting the shots that you kind of see and want to hit. I mean, you've always sort of hit a natural draw. You trying to go to it, that sort of low trap fade. Yeah, it can be good for wedges and sort of controlling your ball flight with certain clubs, but it makes it very hard for the longer clubs, and your drivers are no-no. So I think if you're naturally seeing a draw and that's what you want to see, we got to set up for that and then effectively swing as naturally as we can. So work on that setup. As I say, send some videos through to me to keep in contact between the next session, and we'll take a look then and see where that progression is going. I hope that makes sense. Any questions, obviously give me a shout, but I'll see you again soon, buddy. Cheers, mate.